I don't know. What?
Just get that microphone up to the chipper choppers. Chipper choppers. Lumos. Hello friends, welcome back to Shell Cottage Radio. I'm your host Ezra, aka Bill, also known as your friendly tech wizard, former captain of the Hufflepuff Quidditch team, the flannel wizard, yours truly, me. Please welcome your lovely design witch, the fascination of fourth year, and my wonderful co-host and yours, Lottie, aka Fleur.
Hiya, es ist so wunderbar, dass ihr da seid. Welcome back to our little Shell Cottage on the outskirts of Tinworth. Come on in. This is the 9th episode of Shell Cottage Radio, in which we will finally start our reread of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone with Chapter 1, The Boy Who Lived.
Let's go.
I'm sorry. I just had to play this because...
Was I not supposed to sing over the music? I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
Because it makes me so happy.
I know. We're so excited. And I just had to play the song because the nostalgia is real. Mm-hmm. This is the book where it all started. And, we were... Yeah. I mean, at least I was. You were too. We were kids when we first saw the movie, first read the books. Oh, yeah. And I am just so excited to talk about it and talk, now that we know the whole story and even more about the universe. I just am so ready. Okay.
You're ready?
Yes. And
guys, Lottie's ready, in case you didn't know.
Yeah, I'm beyond excited. Okay. Are you ready, sweetie?
I am ready, and I've been thinking, wow, sounds like the truck's outside already, too.
Some soundscapes
Guys
for
are
free.
Get that. It's hot. It's still hot here, and the windows are open, and so we've got all that going. No, I am excited because, I was thinking about when am I going to do my next, this was months ago. I was like, when am I going to just read through all of it again, get familiar with it and all that kind of stuff? I need to read ahead. So it's really nice to now have dedicated time where we're going to sit down and go chapter by chapter and read through the series, which is great. It just feels really good. So,
and I calculated it, so I think there's 17 chapters.
Okay.
In this book, in the first book, and if we might have 1 week where we kind of need to take off a week or something. We'll see.
We're not sure yet.
But if we keep doing it every week, I think we'll be done by around October, which is cool because that gives you the Halloween, Thanksgiving, winter, Christmas feels already, and it's just what this is. That's why I played Christmas at Hogwarts, because this is this cozy feeling that this book just...
Yeah. People kind of argue that it's that fall going into Christmas vibe,
Yes.
It's which I don't disagree. I think it's, for sure.
I mean, you can read it all year long, but still
yeah. It's good. It's great. So hey, that's what we're doing. We're in. We're locked in. We're ready to go. Before we do all of that though, let's talk about a couple things.
Yes.
I have a couple things I want to share. All right. And I'm pulling out my pocket, pulling out my phone, and I will be posting this on Fleur and Bill. I want you guys to go take a look. This is just over on our social media. It'll be on our story. I might make it a full post so you guys can go check it out if you find it later. We have a soap upstairs in our bathroom. Right here. You see that, sweetie? Okay. That's our soap. This is soft soap, okay? And maybe there's some bad ingredients in it, and I don't know. I don't want to, I know some people are really into all the soaps, and they know what's up. All I know is this bad boy smells so good. It's like an antibacterial, clean. And, it sounds like I'm doing an ad for this soap.
No,
I'm not though. Right? I'm gonna get to a point here, but it's just called Cool Splash. That's what it's called. It's the I guess the scent or whatever is Cool Splash. And as we talk about in our cozy little, Potter podcast or whatever, we've got sounds, we got some apples, we got some cinnamon, we got, the creaking door, we got all the stuff. I wanted to kind of, in people's minds, right before the show, I went up there. I'm washing my hands, getting ready, coming downstairs. This soap, we only bought this a couple of days ago, and we've had different types of soap in the house. This is the best. By far, I will go back and get this over and over again. To me, I know, like Lottie says, it just smells like soap to her, right? Just like a clean smell.
I think because we're so used to like having like a pineapple, cherry, I don't know, smell, and yeah.
Yeah, I'm sniffing my hands right now. So ridiculous. Thank God you guys can't see me. But okay, it's different though. I'm actually going to show you when we get to my dad's house later. Like there's a shaving cream that's like called like I think Cool Splash, and it has like sort of a certain type of smell or fragrance.
Are you copying me?
Maybe a little bit. No, but so when we were kids though, we would like. Dad would, he would shave, he'd trim up and everything, and we would like, he smelled so good. When you go to the barber shop and you get that clean kind of like, they use all the stuff on you, whatever, and it smells so good. I'm telling you guys right now, I don't know what it is about this soap, but I dare anybody to go out there and like, if it's in your area, you can find it. We got it at Kroger, I think, or Walmart?
I think so, yeah.
One of the two, Kroger or Walmart. And I'll post a picture of it, but literally it smells so good that it gives me a happy, fresh feel. I can't explain it. I honest to God cannot explain it. No so other soap has done this for me. And even our good friends like Lane and Sarah down in Amanda.
Oh
shout
my
out
God,
to our podcast.
their house smells so good.
So good. And it's great. And I love it, and I enjoy good smells and sounds and all the ambience and everything, right? But literally, I normally don't get into the smell aspect of stuff. I'm sort of like, all right, whatever. It smells good. Sure, moving on. This guy's blew me away. This guy's been blowing me away for the last couple of days. I know. I know it's kind of ridiculous, but I just wanted to share because it's such a, you would not think this had a good smell. Yeah, when you see the packaging, you're like, all right, it's just a normal gel kind of soap. So, yes, ma'am. I
have a question for you.
Okay.
Do you think Vernon Dursley has a certain soap that Petunia likes to smell?
Oh, probably. But I unfortunately didn't want to pair this soap with like Vernon Dursley.
I'm sorry.
But he probably gets a clean. He's got a mustache. It's interesting, right? My dad. Remember we saw those photos of my dad and his mustache. So crazy. Yeah. I was thinking about just one day popping over and like trimming it up and just having only a mustache. Lottie would probably lose her mind though.
I think I would.
Yeah, I can't do that. I can't do it. But yeah, he used to have just a mustache and now he's cut that off or whatever. And but I don't know. There's something about the shaving cream and like that's a particular smell. I don't know what the ingredient is in there, but if you guys get this and like let me know. I don't know if you're into soaps or if you have a good soap we should try. Let us know because I am down. I don't know. When you go to the bathroom and you wash your hands and it's just normal soap and you're like, all right, whatever. But like if there's something extra to it, you just feel like you're.
Actually,
royalty. I
know. I love going to other people's houses, and if they have like a good smelling soap, I love
Thomas and Emily.
I love
bathroom.
that. I know. It's just a highlight for me.
It's so weird because like my friend, my buddy Tom and his wife Emily, we went to their house and they had some fragrance like scent in the bathroom or whatever, which we all understand. But I was like, man, I could just camp out in here for a little while. Like this is great.
I know.
It's like creating a whole experience. So anyway, just thought that was kind of funny. Moving on next, I got a couple points I want to get to before we dive into some of our news and our quote quiz and all that kind of stuff. Last night I had a dream. I had the most, this you hear that train?
Yeah.
Do you hear that train?
Yeah.
We never hear trains around here. I told you, you see the railroad tracks and you're always like, does a train ever run on that?
I know.
Not really. Now
you never see one.
Yeah, that's actually kind of wild. There it goes. Doing some hauling. Anyways, the dream was, the World Cup, by the way, is coming up, I think, this fall, right?
Soccer World Cup.
Yeah, and I'm excited for it. I can't wait for all these things to happen. I've got multiple teams now to root for. I've got to root for Germany, all this stuff, right? And get a jersey, the whole 9 yards. But in my dream last night, I don't know what it was. I was the dirtiest I'd ever been in my life, and I had these tattoos on my feet, like on the tops of my feet, going up the ankles, and on one foot was the flag of Scotland, and on the other was Germany. It was the most bizarre thing. I know what it comes down to is the things that I like in life and things that I love and all that kind of stuff and are precious and near to me.
You just want to go and get a tattoo.
I don't want to get a tattoo. The thing is, I don't think you want me to get a tattoo. It's like I've just never gotten one. You get to a certain age where you're sort of like, well, I've never had one. And I don't know that I really want to start now.
Yeah.
I've gotten so used to just who I am. It's just,
Yeah.
I love seeing them on people, though. I actually really...
It's cool.
Not in a weird way. Like, I don't want to, like, eat, like, guys, girls, whatever it is. I was watching somebody the other night who had literally a whole sleeve of Star Wars characters. And it was amazing. It was flat out some of the coolest...
good art,
real cool artwork. And I was like, that's actually fantastic. So, anyway, it was weird. You know, Lottie actually had the... I don't know, it was so dirty from something. And you were, like, not mad, but you were, like, kind of like easing me into, you need a bath. You were kind of like, you need to actually clean up, and you were trying to be gentle about it. And then I had like never ending, like all these different socks on, and I just looked over here to the side where we record. I have a pile of socks that have accumulated over. Have you noticed this pile of socks that's sitting right here next to me?
Are you asking me if I noticed your pile?
I know.
Of course I have.
It's crazy.
They somehow end up in the laundry somehow. Who knows? We probably have a little house elf around here.
Oh my!
Nice.
I'm sorry. Somehow
the house elf also like changes the toilet paper. It's so great. I mean,
I don't know how
shout out
these
to
things,
house elves.
I don't know how these things are getting done around here. Sorry about that. But I mean, okay, clearly you've noticed. But I was thinking, or the connection to my dream was that maybe it's the pile of socks that you have been letting. I have been letting. I think you're doing this on purpose to me, which is good. You're teaching me. Like, why is there a massive pile of socks accumulating next to my desk? Because I have a habit of just taking them off when I record or work or whatever, you know. And then last night I dreamed I was taking off these different socks. To get to the tattoos, I probably had 7 pairs of socks on. And it was like representative, right? One of the Horcruxes we're going to be talking about later on. Okay.
It's so interesting. Sorry, but even when you told me this morning about your dream, it reminded me so bad of, I don't know how many books in the Narnia, Chronicles of Narnia you've read, but in one of the books, what's his name?
I've only read 2. By the way.
Okay, no, so then you don't know that story, but that little boy, I think he's a cousin of like Lucy and Edmund's cousin. Yeah. I forget his name. Oh my goodness.
It's okay.
Anyway, they go on a journey. They go back to Narnia. They go on a big like ship, boat, whatever. They sail around. I don't want to spoil anything for you, but he's kind of. Nah, they don't. Oh, Eustace. His name's Eustace. They don't really like him. Yeah. He's a little, odd. He's a little.
I think he's in the movie.
Not super nice. Yeah. So what happens is he goes in, like on one of the islands. He goes on his own little journey. Okay. And there's this whole backstory. He becomes a dragon. He turns into a dragon.
Wow.
And I think it's before or after he does. He sees this bath.
Okay.
And he goes in and like, I don't know if it's after when.
Like a bathtub or like a big
like a big pool. Bath pool. We don't really know who put it there. He just goes in and he cleans everything off. Like, and there's like layers and layers he didn't even know about.
What? Of clothing or something? Or just grime?
Of like skin or whatever.
Wow. Because he became a dragon.
I think so. It's hard.
Yeah. It's okay. You're just going off your...
Right.
Yeah.
But it's just something that like really reminded me of that. So I don't know if you guys, if any one of you have read that.
It's like, okay, that's actually a good point. So there are these dreams that happen where people have similar dreams. Yeah. We all have like the naked dream, right? Where you're in school and you're like, okay, I'm not wearing pants. What the heck's going on? Or you're late to something, or you're trying to get something, you're trying to get there, those anxiety dreams. But I wonder if somebody's ever had like the dreams where you're just cleaning something off of either yourself or something, and there's just layer after layer after layer.
That's what happened because...
That's what this was last night. I was like, Jeezy cow. Every time I was in, I didn't realize, and this could be something, somebody who interprets dreams out there is into this. Again, we're talking Harry Potter, witchcraft, wizardry, all sorts of stuff, right? So I know there is an aspect to this. I love going to little conventions and stuff where they have those booths where they can read your future and they can like tell you stuff and everything. It's just kind of cool, So, but I feel like there's something to those dreams, right?
Yeah. So, totally. Yeah. And that's what happened to him. He kind of got rid of his layers. Like his anger or like whatever it is.
Yeah, they're like symbolic for something else, right? Yes. It's they represent something, and you're kind of cleansing yourself or whatever. So
so maybe you're cleansing.
Maybe I went through a great cleansing last night, guys. I have no idea because I feel great, but the thing is, like Lottie, we've gone on 4 weeks now of something creeping up in the summertime sickness or whatever. Yeah. She's drinking her vitamins. She's got her Hall reliefs over there. She's.
I don't know. Like, I don't know if you can hear it. Yeah, it just goes on and on and on. But I'm actually really, really grateful that it's only like a little, sore throat and, no, you got to blow your nose and all that stuff. But I feel good. Like, I don't have headaches. I don't have like fever or anything. So
yeah, you weren't pulling a me laying there in bed like the world was ending. My God, what's wrong with me? I got to toughen up. So anyways, yeah, this has been kind of a lingering thing, but we had a yummy breakfast.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Had pancakes, guys. We want to share that with you because you need more pancakes in your life. All right, whether they're gluten free or whether they're different type of flour, whatever it takes. You need to. Oh, we posted that too. That looks beautiful. Lottie always throws berries, so she always throws like blueberries or bananas or something on hers. You know me, I'm just covering mine in cinnamon and syrup and butter, so.
I mean, that's awesome, too.
Yeah, but no, I actually like the mix. I actually like it. So it's cool. So we got some apples out here, some cinnamon. We went and got some Dunkin', went on a nice walk this morning, so that was all good. Yes. One last thing I want to share with you guys. I know it's kind of like, Ez, what are you doing here? We're starting this. If anybody else is a Star Wars fan, come talk to me, because the Kenobi episode, Lottie watched all of it with me. We're going to talk about it on Hyperspace Hangout and everything at some point, but it was fantastic. If anybody else watched it, we happen to be recording this the day after the Kenobi finale, and it's just phenomenal. So if you're a fan of Harry Potter or what have you, might have a couple different fandoms that you're into or whatever, and if not, it's okay. I apologize, but I just wanted to mention it because I love it, and I want you guys to know that Ez is a huge Star Wars fan. And,
he cried. He cried at the end.
So almost. Good. Yeah, I was emotional. There's parts where whenever they say like "May the Force be with you," and it's said in this way of like we're not really gonna see you. They're saved for really good moments. I'm like, oh my gosh,
yeah,
it was just good. It was good. So, all right. So I've talked long enough. Sorry about that, sweetie. How you doing? Okay. How you doing? How you feeling? You feeling okay? I know you got like some cough.
Yeah, I know. I got my Halls and like you said, and my vitamins actually, like vitamin C. Right. Like, I don't know if it's placebo or not, but I've been drinking it for the last 3-4 days every day, and every day I feel a little bit better. So I just feel like
get your vitamins in.
I'm supporting my body and fighting this off. But like I said, I feel fine. I feel good. This walk this morning was awesome. We saw some people on the bikes, so that always makes me happy when I see just people on the bike trail in the morning, and just like either some even go to work, some just go on a long bike ride in the morning, and actually. The moment when you go, like, we were in bed, we woke up, and it's like, oh, what do you want to do? And there's always this choice, this little moment where it's like, oh, we could just stay in bed and have a slow morning, not do anything.
Yeah.
And then, but we were committed to at least, get up and get some kind of workout, either gym or go for a walk or go for a bike ride.
Right.
Every morning in the summer, we wanted to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, let's just get up. And instead of going to the gym because we're, again, still like fighting some sickness. And
I didn't sleep last night because of the Kenobi finale.
I know.
Or 2 nights ago.
Yeah. And so we decided to go on a walk, and it was so good. It's
so good. Yeah.
It's still not high. We have a heat wave in Ohio right now, and it's still not hot later. But so right now it's nice and cool outside, but the sun is out, blue sky, and you just kind of disconnect from your computers, your phones for a little bit, which is great. And you connect to your surroundings. And I'm like that person, we go to walk, and I'm like, I point out every chipmunk, every tree that's fallen over, and you're probably like, oh my God, okay, can we just walk?
No, it's great. I think it's great. No, because we get good talking, it's the blood's flowing, you're getting some vitamin D. Okay. I can't talk this morning. I needed a little bit more sleep. But no, I'm glad that we did get up and we got going, because I mean, the joke is that even if you just take, 5 minutes and if you head to even if you just drove by the gym and you started to create that habit of just, I drove past it.
Yes.
Right? At some point, if you're really committed to reaching that long-term goal, you'll go inside. You've invested the gas money to go over there and drive past it. So hop on in there. So it's like one of those things in terms of creating habits. It's just, it's good to kind of get started and get rolling.
Really, the hard part is getting out of bed. Everything else. When you're in the car, you feel good.
Let's go.
Up,
I know. Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm doing good. You're doing good, and we're excited for this episode. And before we start, we just want to give a shout out to, like a small little email that just emails like that just make our day.
Yeah, this is great.
Thank you so much to Jack. He said, hi, I'm excited for the Harry Potter reread and really enjoying the podcast. Hope you both are having a great start to the summer. Best, Jack. So
yeah, Jack, thank you so much for writing in.
Even like a small message like that, it's just so heartwarming. Thank you so much, Jack. And we're excited for the reread. And yes, even though, we had some obstacles on the way, but our summer's been great. And we're ready to dive in.
Well, it's kind of cool, and I want to mention this now, just while we're at the very start of this. So our first book, as we go through the first book in these first couple of months, I think we're going to have potentially, we've talked about having some special guests on at some point. Yes. And we've also talked about having you, the listener, on. I think a unique thing that we've done, and Lottie brought this up last night, and she said, in terms of a book club, wouldn't it be cool if we had other people's thoughts, not just like that you wrote in, but if you wanted to kind of pop in and actually participate on. Literally, we send you a link, you click on it, you pop in, you say, hi, how's it going? And you just share your thoughts. We're all doing Zoom meetings and Teams meetings and everything. So it's pretty easy nowadays to kind of like, people have headsets, they have whatever. That, by the way, that industry has just skyrocketed since the pandemic. Like Zoom itself, like the company, like made millions and billions. Mm-hmm. But anyways, you have, if you have the means to, and we'll establish like a recording time. Yeah. Probably not on the regular, but it would be a regular thing. We would like dedicate certain book. We'd pick a couple of chapters and maybe have you guys on if you want to. So yes, I thought that would be kind of cool. People who are interested, we'd obviously have a sign up and something, because we want to drop extra episodes as well. So we want to do that as well. We want to drop a little extra something for you, because if you're listening at work and you want more, just something to listen to while you're working and you enjoy listening to us, that's great. We want to give you more of that so we can make your work experience a little better.
Yeah, and like you said, I really would love to have the book club feeling of sharing your thoughts and just coming. I mean, we already put so much effort into having good food. That's what a book club is about. You just get together, have good food, have some good drinks, some snacks, and you enjoy the story together. So we want to enjoy the story together with you guys. And, we might have some friends of our own over, or, have you on and just really make this about the community.
Yep. Yeah. 100%. 100%. Okay.
Alrighty.
What's next?
What is next, sweetie, is you get to guess.
Oh, yeah, quote quiz. Let's go.
Yes, you get to guess who said this.
Okay. Give it to me. What do we got? Is it a hard one or an easy one?
I think it's easy. Okay, here we go. Oh, these people's minds work in a strange way. They're not like you and me.
Let's go. That can only be one of two people, I think, right? Is that Vernon? Vernon Dursley?
Exactly.
Let's go. That was easy. That was an easy one.
Very easy.
Oh, these people's minds work in strange ways. They're not like you and me. Jeez, Vernon. You know, what the heck, man?
And when he says this? He says this in the third chapter, actually. Not this chapter, but the third chapter, when he goes a little nuts. He goes crazy because they're getting all these letters.
Oh, yeah.
And he's trying to prevent that. And he's putting... he actually has a mouthful of nails and trying to barricade the door, or the mailbox... Not the mailbox, was it?
The mail slot
or
something?
Yeah, the slot. And he's like... Petunia's like, I'm not sure, Vernon, if this will work. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, Petunia, these people's minds work in strange ways. Uh-huh. They're not like you and me.
Right.
So I just thought that was
Clearly they're not, Vernon.
No, they're not.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. All right, cool. So okay, good. I like that. I like an easy one. I appreciate that, because, they can be kind of...
Yeah. And I'll think about, what I want this part to be in the future. Maybe we have some changes in the future to this. We were just developing, different
ideas and thoughts and stuff.
So
yeah, I like it.
This is fun, and you're always the one who guesses, so that's fun for me.
Yeah, it's fun for you, which is fun, because I'm cool with kind of not knowing. I'm like, I don't know, who said that?
Right.
I like to throw out my multiple options too. Creates a safety net for me. Well, it could be these 25 people.
Yeah, I know.
Somewhere in there, I might get one right. Anyway, all right. So I think we're actually going to continue on with. We're going to keep our weekly. Are we doing next up the weekly?
Here we
lesson?
go.
Okay. What are you?
Newt's calling.
Rescue, nurture, and protect them. I'm gently trying to educate my fellow wizards about them. Come on.
Yes, so we're also gently trying to educate our fellow wizards and want to learn more about our beasts, our fantastic beasts. And this week in our weekly Magi zoology lesson, we'll talk about one of my favorite beasts of all. Sweetie, what could that be? I know you can see the dog.
No, I actually was going to say that. If you didn't say it, I was going to say, like, this is totally handpicked by you because the Kneazle is who we're talking about today.
Yes.
And Kneazles are cool, actually. I think it's one of the, if you're a cat person, which I think a lot of Harry Potter people are, I also like dogs. Okay, there's dogs in Harry Potter as well. But, yeah, definitely, like, the Kneazle is cool.
Star.
Yeah.
No, yeah, Kneazles. The small cat-like creatures. They can have, actually, I think it's kind of cool, their fur is always flecked, speckled, or spotted. So they're not just one color. They always have, like, they look a little wilder.
Okay.
And they have outsized ears and a lion's tail. I think that's pretty cool. They have a lion's tail. Yeah.
Okay.
And, which is interesting, they're classified as 3X. By the Ministry of Magic, which is defined as competent wizards should cope. And as a reminder, 1X is boring, 2X is harmless or maybe domesticated. And that one requires competent wizards only, That's interesting.
Oh, really? So you that means that you have to be a competent wizard.
Right, you have to have a license actually to
Oh my gosh, seriously?
Have one as a pet. Yes. I was going to say that later, but yeah, you need to. I was going to ask you actually, what do you think you'd have to do to obtain such a license?
Well, I guess you'd have to go through some training or something, maybe, right?
And
demonstrate that you're competent
and knowledgeable.
That you can take care of.
You can handle them. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're actually highly intelligent creatures, but occasionally they can get aggressive. I think that's why they have the 3X. Here. But if they like you, they make excellent pets, which is awesome. And super interesting, they have a special gift where they can kind of sense suspicious or unpleasant even characters. And so that's why they're known for their ability to guide their owners safely home if they're, if the owner is lost.
Wow. Interesting.
And we know they're they can interbreed with cats, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah, we see that in the books. Because Hermione's cat, Crookshanks, is actually part Kneazle. Yeah. And especially in Prisoner of Azkaban, he shows his ability to detect suspicious characters, but also guiding the ones he likes with Sirius and then with Peter Pettigrew, a.k.a. Scabbers.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so...
Interesting. So they have that... that ability. I always forget that Crookshanks is like half Kneazle. I always think it's like a Kneazle cat or something. But yeah,
I know, right? Yeah.
To distinguish,
it's
half.
Yes.
And when you look at the tail and you think about the tail, actually, that makes a lot of sense. Because when you read that, I was like, wait a second, Crookshanks is...
Doesn't look like that, yeah.
Yeah, but he's half.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. He's only partially a Kneazle.
Nice.
Then their litters can be as big as up to 8 kittens. As a comparison to cats, cats can have up to 12, but the average is more like 4. So they're very, very similar to cats. And like I said, you need a special license to own one. The cool thing is for wizards and witches is they are not very likely to attract unwanted attention by muggles, right? So we don't have this whole cover-up issue.
Yeah.
Because, muggles will just think they're cats or wild-looking cats, maybe a little bit bigger.
Right.
And also, as we mentioned in our previous episode where we talked about Newt Scamander, he has 3 pet Kneazles with Tina, Hoppy, Millie, and Mauler. And by the way, I forgot to mention last time that Newt was even awarded the Order of Merlin Second Class for his service to the study of magical beasts, which is kind of important when you talk about Newt.
Yeah, so, Order of Merlin. Big deal. That's cool.
Yeah. So, there you go.
Can I say that I wonder if Mauler, the cat, is like the sweetheart of the group. You know what I mean? Right? Cat's name's Mauler, and then it's...
Right, and Hoppy and Millie are more like...
Yeah.
Wild and
it's kind of funny. Because those are full Kneazles.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They are. They're not half cat or anything. Yep, they're full Kneazles. But I mean, if you know Newt and Tina, they probably love them and will do anything to protect them.
Absolutely, yeah. That would actually, that's cool to kind of think about and imagine.
And I think it's cool that they kind of know, you know, like if you have visitors and your Kneazle pet or your pet Kneazle is like kind of like suspicious of him and like acting weird, you know something's up.
Right. Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. Yeah. So, I mean, question I'm always going to ask, would you want to have a Kneazle?
Yes, 100%. Because we are kind of, you know, we love animals. I mean, really love multiple animals, and we love your dogs, but we also love our cats.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just grew up with cats. You grew up with cats. And so to have a Kneazle just sort of fits. And I think it's really a lot of fun to think about. A more sophisticated, magical cat. I get. Cats are already magical.
They are.
We know this.
They are.
And cats are smart.
For
crying out loud. They take care of themselves. Like, they're good. They're just, I don't know. They're just fun. Cats are a lot of fun. So, but yeah, I definitely would. And I think you would too, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's cool that, you know, even if you live among, if you're a wizard and you live among muggles, it's nice you don't have to, like, hide your pet. You know, if you have a dragon, you kind of want to live somewhere in the middle of nowhere and really, you can't really, like, take your dragon out for a walk.
Right, yeah.
Your Kneazle, it's just whatever. It's a cool cat.
That's a good point. Okay, all right. I think that was fun. I always have trouble saying that Magizoology.
Oh, yeah, I always have to focus on that.
Yeah, I'm like, good on you for saying that. I can never say it right. I want to, like, roll through it too quickly, and it sounds weird. So, okay. Time for us to move in
to Potter Watch. Oh my god, that was loud. I'm so sorry.
Good thing we can turn that down in post. Welcome to Potter Watch. Breaking down some news, breaking down some stuff that's happening out there. Really the big thing, we don't do a whole lot of this because, again, being the reread, we kind of want to just feature, we make this short, a real short kind of condensed section, because if you're listening to this a year from now, you're kind of like, hey guys, the game's already out, you know. So
right.
which is what we're hoping. We're hoping, you know, people dive in years later. But let's see, Hogwarts Legacy, though. Just we wanted to talk about the game. There's actually, I found an interesting article that talks about how, like, the setup for this. So we know this is going to come out around the holiday season, going into sort of Christmas, sometime in the fall. I'm not exactly sure, right? Isn't that the case? I'm pretty sure it's going to be.
Yeah, end of the year.
Yeah, like end of the year, this is going to be coming out, and it takes place again, as we know, around the 1800s. And a connection, again, I mentioned Star Wars quite a bit because it's something I'm super into, but Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order features like a new character, Cal Kestis, something totally different, and is set during a time period that we still had some questions, things that needed answered. So Hogwarts Legacy's unnamed protagonist is very similar to that idea, right? In that you're going with a brand new kind of character. You're not touching the likes of Dumbledore, Harry, Hermione. You're setting us up with a whole new thing, a whole new experience. And so both of these characters they have similarities to one another, and they're comparable, I guess. So if you want to think about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, if you're familiar with that game, and then Hogwarts Legacy, it's going to be you're kind of a hero going on some adventure, right? Because they showed us in the trailer that you got to go to class, you got to acquire your skills, you got to learn stuff, you get to experience Hogwarts and different time period. But there are some dark wizards. There's a magic that you're kind of tapped into that other people really aren't. And what does that mean for you? You come in a little bit late. You actually show up as not a first year, right? But you show up as a fourth or fifth year.
I think you're a little bit older, yeah. That's what it seems like.
Which is kind of unique, because then you don't have to go through it's more believable. You're like, okay, this person was sort of like moved in. Maybe they went to a different magical school and family moved in or whatever. We don't really know. It's still kind of unclear. But it's exciting. It's cool to think about this. They've created a beautiful looking game. And the people who work on it, I think they're proud of their their product and stuff.
Yeah, so. And you can like kind of build your own character to look like you, or look whatever you want it to look, or him or her to look like, and you can be in your own house. You can be in your house.
Yeah, that's
so cool. You're not, Harry in Gryffindor going through the world.
Yeah.
But
I was unsure if that's how they were going to do it. If you were going to allow you to create.
If
they were just going to.
It looked like there were different types of people, like as a main character.
That would be cool. That would be the way to do it. I think that would be awesome. I don't know, and we're not gonna. If you guys know, we haven't done much research on it. We just we pull up something quick and we just kind of roll with it. So, but that would be awesome if that were the case. What they showed in the trailer was a student from Hogwarts, not Hogwarts, but in Hufflepuff, I think, house. But that is really cool if you can be sorted into your own house and you can do your own thing. Then that means it's different than Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which is great because in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, you are really just Cal Kestis, this named character, whereas it looks like here it's an unnamed protagonist, which I like. Like a lot of games will just call you the hero of this time period. Like in Star Wars, they have the hero of Tython. Well, you get to create your own name and decide your outlook, your appearance, and all that stuff, which is cooler. Yes.
That's exactly how it is here. It says, not only does Hogwarts Legacy feature an original story while being firmly rooted in the Harry Potter universe, but players will also get to customize their own characters to write their legacy into the annals?
Into the annals of
the Wizarding World.
Let's go.
Which is awesome. Love it.
So that's cool. And I actually like that a lot better because when you play Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, so this article is making the comparison to like the time period and then setting up more of the mechanics of the game and then how you would work through it and how the story progresses. I actually like that you get to pick your own character, name your own character, and decide where you want to go. Versus like in that game, you have to be Cal Kestis. You can't really be anybody else. Right. So this is cool. This is actually going to be better than.
Oh yeah. And if you guys been listening to the previous episodes, I think I mentioned it a lot. I think I'm gonna love this game because I loved playing Sorcerer's Stone or Philosopher's Stone and Chambers of Secrets as a PC game back in the day. Mm-hmm. That were like my favorite games.
Yeah, and by the way, if anybody knows how to like queue those up again for Lottie or knows how to emulate them, like let me know because I don't know how to do it. I've tried to figure it out.
It's so sad because I don't know how to do that because it's for Windows 97 or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And our modern computers, they don't really play the actual disc anymore and the CD disc.
Yeah, it's kind of.
So I would love to play it, and I have to figure out how to do it.
They're still for sale, so there is a way to do it. I've looked at it and I've seen some tutorials, but I'll have to we need a lot of time to figure it out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right, cool. So yeah, that was just a little bit of Potter Watch, some news for you guys, and it's time. It is time for us to jump into the reread, friends. It's time for us to get after it, dive into the main part here, and talk about Chapter 1.
Chapter 1, The Boy Who Lived.
Yeah. And so we have actually a summary of the chapter. Did you want to read this, or did you want to? You want me to read it, or okay?
I can try to read it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So we actually wrote a little summary. It's a little different because we because I teach English, you teach English, and this is not how you should write a summary because we add some details, some tone to it. We don't just summarize the facts or the things that happen. So don't think that's an accurate summary that you should write for school. But no, it was fun writing it. So here we go. We did our own little twist to it. So summary of the first chapter. This very first chapter begins with just another day in the exceptionally normal life of the Muggle couple Vernon and Petunia Dursley. Unsuspecting of all the stranger things that are about to cross his path today, Vernon Dursley kisses his wife and baby son goodbye to go to work. However, cats who read street signs, adults in odd clothing, and owl sightings during the day make Mr. Dursley more and more nervous. And the worst part, he hears rumors about their Potter family and their son, Harry, who, although he doesn't want to admit it yet, happen to be his in-laws. A difficult conversation with his wife later that night shows that Petunia's sister and her husband and child are a taboo topic in the Dursley home. Even after going to bed, Vernon can't stop thinking about the absurd events of the day. But finally, he falls asleep too. And all of a sudden, the streetlights go out, the tabby cat comes to life, and the point of view switches to Professor McGonagall witnessing Albus Dumbledore appear on Privet Drive number 4. Despite the good news of you-know-who's defeat, he confirms her worst fears. The Potters are dead. Their young boy Harry Potter has survived, and Hagrid is on his way with the boy. McGonagall questions as to whether they should leave the boy with these muggles, as they are the worst sort. Professor Dumbledore, being the wise old wizard that he is, knows that this is the most powerful protection that he can give little Harry. Also, he points out that it might be good for Harry not to grow up in a world where his name is legendary. Sad and in tears, McGonagall, Hagrid, and Dumbledore leave the scene, and little Harry rolls over in his blankets, clinging to the letter.
Wow. You know, this is the start to it all.
I know.
And it is such a interesting and intriguing hook to start the whole series off. You know what I mean?
Yes.
This boy arrives here. You go back to when he's an infant. There's a letter. There's some wizards outside. There's some normal muggles who want nothing to do with this and are thrust right into all of this because of their crazy in-laws and the connection to some taboo thing.
Right.
It's wild. It's a wild start. And it's crazy because I think we were in, I don't know if I think we were in Costa Rica. I told you I'd do this. I'm going to go off on tangents on you. But we brought up the Dursleys.
Yes.
And we've talked about them, and I'm like, by the end, you kind of get it. They're a type of people that he wants to go in and talk about drills. He wants his normal, mundane, go to work, clock in, come back, kiss his wife, play with his son, whatever. Hear the local gossip, watch the news, hit snooze, and that's it. Right? Yeah. That's all he wants.
Yeah.
So they love that just normal fitting into what society tells them. Yeah. And I actually think, again, they're sort of, how do you put this? Like, not villainized, but they're the tone here or whatever, like the way we perceive them throughout the series until the end, you start to get some better kind of lenses to look through. But really, we're meant to not like them. And again, they do some awful stuff. Don't get me wrong. Yes. They do some awful stuff that we totally don't agree with. But it's just bonkers because they're just these normal people that might be a little sour.
Yep.
And they're thrust into this magical world.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's comedy, and it's also it's just intriguing, and it does set up a lot of obstacles for Harry and everything later on. And it shows you a stark kind of contrast to the world. I love that, and I know I'm bouncing all over the place here. I love that Hermione and other Muggles show up later, right? And I mean, air quote Muggles, right?
Yeah.
But born into Muggle families because they show us different types of families.
Exactly. Yeah.
In the Muggle
they love
world.
it. They're interested in, and even I mean, even,
Mrs. Fig's across the street. I mean, she's a squib, but
and even like Petunia's parents were so excited about it. We learned that's where this whole bitterness comes from, right? They were super excited. They were proud to have a witch in the family. No, yeah, I love this chapter being the opening chapter, actually. And I really, really like the contrast. Like you said, we get this Muggle family who just go about their day. It's just another, rainy day. Vernon goes to work. They have their little family. And I asked you guys on Instagram, what do you think about Vernon and Petunia Dursley? And some of you actually responded, which is cool. And there's, like you said, some different opinions, and I think worth looking at.
Okay.
So there's one, Rissaru, I'm sorry if I pronounce it wrong, 3/12 said, toxic and no one can change my mind.
Whoa.
That's
Try
one
me.
opinion.
Try me.
And then Kayla said, is it too simple to just say horrible? Even with that bit of understanding Petunia's past, it was truly horrible and unnecessary how badly they treated Harry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the last one, I am beyond sorry if I can't pronounce this one. It's I don't know. Sometimes, you want it to be pronounced a certain way. I can't read it.
I actually don't. Oh, that's Angelina. Thank you. Yes, that's awesome.
Sorry. Yes, that's it. Said, feel sad for them that they are so miserable. And
that's an interesting. Yeah, that's different, right?
I think all opinions bring it together where you're right. We're supposed to, not like them because actually, he says it, where is it in the book?
Who, Vernon?
He's like, Vernon says it like he doesn't approve of imagination, He hoped he would imagine all the different things that are happening that day. He's like, and that means something because he doesn't approve of imagination, which is, this is a kid's book and kids are full of imagination and they want to go and see different things and enter different worlds, and they're all about that normal, whatever that means, what is normal actually. For them, it's like, they're typical, okay, we're a married couple, we have our house, we have our little baby, Vernon goes to work and makes money for the family, and Petunia stays at home and takes care of Dudley.
Right.
And she loves to spy on the neighbors. She loves to spy on them. She loves to talk and gossip about them. And here's the thing. I think we should make this the extra episode, because it's going to blow your mind what I found about
Really?
Petunia and Vernon Dursley on where is it? Here. The Harry Potter wiki, the fandom, right? And I checked the source, and
Okay.
it was written by J.K. Rowling, so that was an extra little thing she wrote.
From Potter. So like, I can see it now. So it's a Pottermore article.
Yeah, it's a writing by J.K. Rowling, Vernon and Petunia Dursley at Wizarding World. And there's such cool details that I want to discuss with you. And I was afraid we don't want to make this like a character study of Petunia and Vernon, right? So,
but I'm okay doing that afterwards. And
right, we'll do that after.
Yeah.
But I want to just give you a little bit of a
because quite frankly, not to interrupt, but I mean, quite frankly, I've talked about maybe going and doing more on them and trying to create not create sympathy. I know we're meant to not like them.
Yes,
and
it's true. They did terrible things. I mean,
terrible things.
They treated Harry like a house elf.
Yeah, it's
actually
awful. I mean, it really is. It is absolutely. It's abuse. I mean, honest to God, it's what it is. You want to get right down to it. So, in no way will I. If you hear me try to put a little sunshine on those two. It's just sort of like, as one person, it's sad, it's like, I don't know. And it's sadder for Harry. And it's just like, my gosh, you want to try to understand people and stuff. So we'll do a fun, little talk on that. And remember, we'll come at it with some comedy, because it's fictional and stuff, but good God, it is, I don't know. I've always found them to be, when you take away all the stuff that they did to Harry, I think about their lives moving forward just as people living on Privet Drive.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, they probably would have just been nosy neighbors who grilled out and did their thing and whatever. But the bitterness that Petunia has leaks over to the rest of her family. I don't know that they, if they just weren't around the Potters or weren't around Harry, if they would have had all of this.
Right.
And they're, because it just turns into jealousy, right? And stuff.
Exactly.
So anyway, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. What you're grinning? What's going on?
I just wanted to give you a little tidbit, little preview of...
Okay, give me a little something.
Yes. So this is in the article about their marriage, actually. And it says, at some point in the early 1970s, Petunia left her home in Cokeworth to pursue a typing course in London.
Okay.
This led to her getting a clerical job, where she met Vernon Dursley, a junior executive whose complete ordinariness she found appealing. Vernon also took a fancy to Petunia, and the two went on a number of dates, which mainly involved Vernon discussing himself and his narrow views of the world.
Wow. Okay.
And this is longer. There's more to it, and they even talk about meeting Lily and James.
Let's definitely do this. That's cool.
We will do this later because it's a little bit too much to do. It does turn into a little character study or looking at their biography and stuff. But it's
for sure.
really, really cool. And I just want to encourage people to, even though we don't like them, even though they treated Harry, like he was not around really, and if they did talk to him, it was always mean. It was always they were always ordering him around, and Dudley, and that's another point I want to make. The love, the contrast of Petunia and Vernon, hating Harry almost Harry symbolizes this whole world that Petunia, who was deeply hurt when she was a child, and Lily went off and learned all these cool things, and she wanted to do that too, and she couldn't. She was not allowed. She was not included. She felt probably sad, alone, hurt, whatever. And Harry just shows her that over and over again.
Right, yep.
And the contrast to the unconditional love she has for Dudley, it's crazy. Her son is spoiled. He's mean. He goes out and he beats up other children, which is terrible.
Right, yep.
But she she's blind for that.
She's overcompensated for some of stuff like the things that she faced as a child. Doesn't want the same upbringing. Yeah, it's a complete. It shows you what extremes can do, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
Where she had sort of an extreme experience crop up in her life where she felt inferior, and then she doesn't want this for Dudley and everything.
Yeah.
There's more complexity to those two, to that little family and stuff, and it's interesting to kind of think about. Only because I know, again, there's this element of like Harry being put under the staircase and stuff, right? And just some terrible things that happened to him. But when you look at why, because Lottie and I always do this actually, if as we meet you guys or as we talk to people and stuff like that, like we want to surround ourselves, as we say at the end of the show, with positive Potter people and grow that. And if you're not, we also want to bring you along, like if you're grumpy, look, we want to try to cheer you up a little bit and make you smile. Because we want, like, the Petunias of the world, sweetie, like literally I look at like people, like kids that I teach, right, that are going through this experience. I don't want that. I actually wanted to go be a teacher, so that way some kids would find some joy and some happiness, and they would feel like they belonged, right? She needed belonging. She wanted to feel special in her own way, because there's this whole thing like, well, you're a witch or a wizard. I mean, that makes you more special than whatever. Like, that's, I don't know. There were some muggles who were confident, like Hermione's parents, to just kind of be like, this is awesome and wonderful and things. But then again, what if Hermione had a sister? Would her sister have been similar to Petunia?
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
That's a crazy thing to think about. And how would Hermione have dealt with that and this whole feeling special versus not feeling special?
Yeah, you want to think like, oh no, to them, they're such a lovely family. But who knows? Like, I bet the Evanses were a lovely family, like Lily's and Petunia's family,
for sure.
right?
Yeah.
And that can, like, Hermione was not only was she a witch, but she was, Lily was, I think she was really good at school too.
Yeah.
Hermione is the best in everything she does at Hogwarts in school. She is, except for flying. But she is the best. And that would even, that would intimidate some. Maybe, the second child would not have been as talented and...
Yeah, the same things happen. This is an interesting thing to kind of think about with, I know we're like this is what I knew this was going to happen. This is what we want to do. We want to we want to make connections to the text and expand it. But think about like Dumbledore, Albus and Aberforth. Yeah. And how special or how gifted, even in a wizarding family, that he was. Yes. And again, there's the other Ariana dynamic and everything. But it happens in families. That's something we actually all, like a good story and good characters in this diverse kind of casting in this book and in this series makes you go like, I can connect with different people, different houses, different people because I have those experiences in my life. I think J.K. Rowling really does a study of sort of people around her and in life and what are the different types of people that we encounter and stuff and why do we form those opinions or want ordinary or want to kind of I don't know be a more of a Petunia or a Vernon or more. Again, you've got the rascals in the wizarding world, right? You've got some that are like straight laced and this is how we do it, and then you've got some that are really you got the Weasley twins doing their thing, right? It's really interesting. Filch, for crying out loud, wants to be wants to be a wizard and stuff, right? And he's trying he's trying to kind of figure out how to do that and learn a few things and stuff. The whole thing they set up too with Credence is that he was abused and left out there and was alone and felt abandoned and stuff.
It's terrible what it does to people who feel left out, and we need to. It actually, I'm going to talk about this in our advice of the week.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I want to talk about this because this is actually the closest insight we get into Vernon Dursley's life. Like we are almost like we go along on his day and his thoughts and feelings and we can tell he loves his wife. He doesn't want to upset her. He doesn't really want to concern her with all this stuff. And this is something, like I said, the contrast, like they as a family within their family dynamic, they love one another.
Well, this is crazy to think about, but like, so something, and you just, as you watch people, we're also people watchers, and I work with a lot of different students and parents and different folks, and so you can kind of compare a lot of different people in their approach to a problem or to just work in general or just whatever. you have Vernon going in and like what he wants to do. So a part of his personality is that, yeah, he loves his son and they're almost blinded a little bit to his how spoiled he is and everything, whatever. They want to spoil their son and whatnot. But what he says in the beginning of this chapter is he wanted to go in. He was happy because he got a good yell-in. He got a good argument.
Which is terrible. He yells at people and he feels good about it.
We can kind of laugh at it, but like I know on the other end of that it's not fun. And a person like a Vernon Dursley who came in and just like, yeah, you may love your family and you have all these other good things, but you came in and you really were something is off in your life and you just want to make someone else miserable. And so you think you can just shout and yell or whatever. And that's where I'm kind of like, I'm almost like more upset with him early on with that dynamic of like, look, you may go home and have a wonderful time and be ordinary and all those things, but you really tick people off at work. And I'm not so sure I'm a fan of that type of, but he's an executive. It's his thing. It's what he wants to do. I just, those are not the type of people I like to reward with my attention or, and I say reward with my attention, but like really, I think everyone out there in this world, like who you surround yourself, who you give your time to, and who you invest in, or whatever.
Yeah, it matters.
It does matter, and it can affect who you are too as a person. So if you're around toxic people, and if you're around that type of energy, it can affect you, even if you are still a good soul, a good person, and you're still really positive. It just beats you, wears you down. It's tough to like listen to that all day long.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard. So anyway, that's why with again, this whole purpose of this podcast is to try to provide a bit more positivity in people's lives and share some of our thoughts and feelings with you, because we love that energy and we want to project it and we want to find it and we want to,
Yeah, and I like the comment that A Fiore made. Feel sad for them that they're so miserable. Yeah, you do feel sad that something in their lives. We don't really know what happened to Vernon, why he's the way he is. But, like Kayla said it, we know, we kind of get a little bit of an understanding of Petunia's past. And it's two things. It's like what happened to them and how they reacted to it, right? So it's not... Petunia, definitely, she unfortunately made the choice to react badly to this. To react...
Yes.
Jealous and... To turn this negative energy against her sister. And we know that Lily loved Petunia. She loved her. She was her older sister. And I actually want to talk about this one later when we talk about the article a little bit, because she seems a lot older. A lot like...
Who?
Quite a bit older. Yes, Petunia. And that's like her baby sister looking up to her. And now all of a sudden, like Petunia stops talking to her. Like it's just sad. All in all, it's sad that they chose this path, and it's nice. They kind of found their happiness in their own little world.
Right.
Of
yes.
gossiping, having their family, and yelling at people.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, those weird people show up and drop that baby on their doormat, and it's like. I by no means I want to say I understand any of that, and like if somebody did that, and if that was, you don't want to think about that, but if let's say if that was your sister's baby dropped on her doormat, like we would take it in and take care of it for the rest of our lives and love it.
Yeah.
No, there's no discussion about that, but just to say we'll talk about this at the end of the chapter, how Dumbledore just
drops them
off there, and here's a letter.
And
bye.
Here you go. Yeah, and it's interesting because actually let's talk about it for a little bit. I know you have different notes and stuff, but like McGonagall does sort of say they're the worst sort.
I know.
And she's like, this is so. What's better to grow up around that, versus grow up with this big head idea that you're a legend and you're the chosen one and all that and all that sort of stuff. Because it's sort of they're two extremes, right? He faced really two extremes to go with this group, and that's why I mentioned in the summary that later on you kind of find out it's blood magic. Really, it's old magic, and it's family ties, and that's sort of what can kind of make that charm more powerful for Harry and everything, Right. And that's sort of there were still dangers. There's still Death Eaters out there who might want to try to take a poke at Harry for Voldemort, right? That would be a cool thing they could do and avenge him, whatever, But so you kind of get it. Because otherwise you're sort of like, Dumbledore, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you dropping him off here with this group? And there
Right.
is, again, that's why you got to kind of read and find out, and we learn
Right.
as to why. Because McGonagall is flat out like, they're bad.
Yeah.
They're awful.
I know. She watched them all day long.
And this is them without Harry. That's the thing, too, is that, like...
I know.
That's why I want to bring up, yes, in their own weird way, they are, in their own negative way, they're happy. They're happy with each other. I see people at work, honest to God, who are... who love to kind of vent and be angry, and it makes them happy for some odd reason. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
I still think they're good people and they're whatever, but at the same time, I'm just... That makes them feel better. It's some release, and I get it, whatever, but it's just not me, and I move on. So, yeah, if I'm McGonagall sitting there, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. If I have a choice, can't we just raise him at Hogwarts? Or, I feel like McGonagall probably was like, can I just take him in? Could you imagine?
I know.
If McGonagall had just taken him in?
I know.
Oh, my. I love McGonagall. I love McGonagall.
And I do think she is such a professional. Can we mention this? She's such a professional teacher because I do think she has some kind of motherly feelings towards him.
Totally.
But when she teaches, she can totally like her face is like she's a teacher. She's stern.
Responsible
she's like,
for those kids.
Potter,
learning. Yes,
you do this, or you can't do that, and no, you don't get points for that. Like you've been out all night.
Right. Yes. Exactly. And kids have they have respect for her.
Yes.
Major respect for her. I actually wish, as I was reading the book, I was wanting more kind of talk between the two of them and stuff. We could talk about that later on because I actually wonder if people who are listening, and then even like you and I talking at some point about who was our Professor McGonagall in life. You know what I mean? Because I definitely have a couple that I was like, they're that stern teacher. But when the year was over, I knew they loved me. I loved them. I still care. I've seen them now as an adult. And like, wow, you were a rascal. And they were tough. They were stern teachers, but they were good teachers, and they made you feel good and stuff. So even though they towed a hard line, and I got in trouble, right? But that's why I always love McGonagall's character so much. We'll do a character study on her later and stuff because she's fantastic. But yeah, she's been reading maps. All day long.
Oh yeah, let's dive actually into that or a little bit like in the chapter here. So really we get to see Vernon on his just normal day of work, and at first he sees some little things and he's like, oh, that's odd, but whatever, he goes about his day, and he doesn't really, they mention that throughout the book, like muggles tend to just turn away and ignore things that are clearly magical in front of them, and he is muggle like all like through and through, you would say.
Yes.
And he definitely like it's somewhere in the his building. It's a very high building, so he's up there. His window, he can't really his back's kind of turned towards the window, so he can't really see all the owls. He just yells at some people in his office. He's waiting for his drills to arrive, and then he takes a break. He gets a donut, and he sees all these weird people, comes back, he hears rumors, we said he hears rumors about the Potters, and he's like, oh no. Like, he tries to talk himself into, no, this can't be them. There's tons of people named Potter, even if the name's, he doesn't even remember, is the name really Harry? So he tries to calm himself and just tries to ignore it as best as he can. And but still he's nervous, so on his way home he kind of debates, should I talk to Petunia about this? And he runs into this man. I wanted to ask you, because it's never mentioned, but I was wondering, it's this part where it's like he's leaving the building. He was still so worried that he would walked straight into someone just outside the door. Sorry, he grunted as the tiny old man stumbled and almost fell. It was a few seconds before Mr. Dursley realized that the man was wearing a violet cloak. He didn't seem at all upset at being almost knocked to the ground. On the contrary, his face split into a wide smile, and he said in a squeaky voice that made passersby stare, "Don't be sorry, my dear sir, for nothing could upset me today," and so on. And I wanted to ask you, sweetie, is that Daedalus Diggle?
Yeah, I was
Daedalus
thinking.
Diggle.
So I think people have talked about this in the past. And I was just trying to remember the violet cloaked wizard, right? An old wizard who Vernon runs into.
Yeah.
Let's see, he was among many other wizards. He was in gleeful spirit, all this good stuff. Behind the scenes, given the similarity in their description, it's possible that this individual is, some people say, Flitwick, even though the scene takes place during the Hogwarts school year. Two other Hogwarts professors and one staff member were known to be outside of the school that day as well.
Partying.
Yeah, right. It's possible that this man is Daedalus Diggle, who was described in a similar way as well.
Yeah.
I think...
he's tiny.
I think in some of the... When you look at the film and you want to compare sort of some of the stuff in the film, I think they do sort of imply that this character is
because
Diggle.
because they talk about him later. You know, he did some weird stuff, fireworks or something. Later, I think it said somewhere they talk about. Oh yeah, it was Daedalus Diggle must have set up some, I don't know, fireworks or something. But I think it's cool to think if that's him because he later in Hallows.
Yeah.
He later escorts them when they have to leave.
Yes.
He escorts the Dursleys to wherever the place they go. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, let me shut the window because they're mowing outside. Yep. And I think that would be pretty cool if that was his encounter with Diggle, who will later protect them, you know.
Right. So they they describe the guy at the Leaky Cauldron who is as Daedalus Diggle in the film with the hat and everything. And I think it's sort of implied that he, well, not that he ran into Vernon, but because later on we get a chapter where Harry runs into some folks.
True.
Right? And they're kind of.
Oh yeah, there he introduces himself. He's like, my name is Diggle or something.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So I don't remember who.
That's later. That's like 10 years later.
Yeah. Which is wild to think about because we had this one chapter long. It was I don't even. Yeah. Anyways, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to. I'm pretty sure that's it's supposed to be him, but we don't really know. But I think it's cool to think
Violet
about.
Cloaked Wizard.
Yeah, I think he's supposed to, like in a description I read yesterday. He has like a purple. Oh, I'm sorry. I might have to close the other window. So sorry guys, all the windows are closed. But if you can still hear a distant mowing sound, we can't do anything about it. So. That's part of the ambience, that's the shell cottage ambience around our house. Anyway, so Daedalus Diggle, we think it could have been him. And I think I read he has a purple hat or something, which would go along with his cloak chapter. But anyway, yeah, I just wondered, and I think it would be a cool connection till later on. Right, so then Mr. Dursley... his day just gets worse and worse and worse. He runs into this weird, man who hugged him. A stranger just hugged him. And he's so, taken.
He doesn't like hugs.
No. He doesn't. And then he finally, he just wants to get home, be with his wife. And there's this cat, the cat still there from this morning. And he says... Shoo.
Right.
And we were talking about it. We were like, can you imagine
shooing Mrs.
Vernon Dursley shooing Professor McGonagall?
Right. Yep. No.
It's great. It is great. So cute little insight here. Mrs. Dursley had a nice normal day. Dudley learned a new word, and that's kind of cute. I mean, it's kind of cute how they, she talks about her normal life as stay-home mom. Dudley learned a new word, gossiping about the neighbors and all that stuff.
Right. And the word was won't, right?
Right, won't.
Like he won't do it.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Fits him very well.
Yes, it does.
What is Bonfire Night? I wanted to look this up. Is it like a thing?
They mentioned that on the news. Yeah, the Dursleys watch the news, and people are like... There's shooting stars, owls, all that stuff. And they're like, hey, guys, Bonfire Night is not until next week.
So Guy Fawkes Night, right? So also called Bonfire Night, British observance celebrated on November 5th, commemorating the failure of the gunpowder plot of 1605. I've heard of Guy Fawkes Night. I don't really know much about any of this stuff. So I just I heard it and it was like, oh, it's like a month away or it's like a couple months away or whatever. And I'm like, when is this? So that is...
Interesting.
Yeah. I just thought that was... We have listeners over in the UK, and they know exactly what we're talking about.
Probably, yeah.
And I don't. So I think it's funny to think about it from that perspective. So.
That is so cool when you like you kind of grew up there and you're like, oh, I know exactly, what this is. And
yeah,
the food they talk about and, like the importance of like tea. Because Mrs. Dursley, later at night, she brings 2 cups of tea in. And that's when Vernon is like, I should probably talk to her. And we immediately get the reaction of her. Like, she does not want to talk. They usually pretend they're not there. The Potters don't exist. And so, he kind of starts talking about it. And then, unfortunately, Petunia confirms, their son's name is Harry.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mr. Dursley has a hard time falling asleep. He drops the topic, by the way. They don't talk about it anymore because he's too anxious to talk. Like, she clearly communicates, I don't want to talk about it. So,
can I mention something interesting?
Yes.
I think I've done this before, but I just want to mention Jim McGuffin with the
news
weather.
Is he the anchorman?
Yeah, he's the weatherman.
Okay.
And Ted is the news anchor guy, by the way.
Yeah.
So experts are unable to explain why the owls have suddenly changed their sleeping patterns.
Right.
The newsreader allowed himself a grin, mostly mysterious, and now over to Jim McGuffin with the weather. Going to see any more showers of owls tonight, Jim? Well, Ted, said the weatherman, I don't know about that, but it's not only the owls that have been acting oddly today. Mm-hmm. Viewers as far as Kent, right, have phoned in saying that instead of the rain I promised yesterday, they've had a downpouring of shooting stars. Perhaps people will be celebrating Bonfire Night early, as we mentioned there. And here we go. Let's see. It's not until next week, but I can promise a wet night tonight. I'm trying to remember. So he promises a wet night tonight. And then when Dumbledore shows up, let's see. Isn't it like a clear sky?
It is. You're right.
And not even close to being of
True. That's such a cool connection you made there.
2 nights in a row, I think he's been wrong about the weather.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's one of those stereotypical things where it's like we all want to rage at the weatherman, like he mispredicted something. It's like, but it also comes down to like wizards and predictions and telling the future. It's gonna rain tomorrow. You know what I mean? No, it's not like it. You're wrong. It's just an interesting kind of funny thing to throw in this whole debate we had, the ever-changing weather and who can predict it. Because you have a weatherman who's like a meteorologist who's meant to kind of predict it, but then you've got old Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so who can tell you through their bones that the weather's changing and the pressure's coming. And I love in like Phantom Menace and Star Wars, Anakin Skywalker's on his way home with Qui-Gon, and then he stops by this lady's like, She's like, there's a storm coming, Annie. She can like tell because her bones are telling her and stuff. There's something to that, the pressure changing and everything.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to kind of mention that. I actually at one point just thought about studying weather and becoming a meteorologist. I took one class my senior year, and I thought, this would have been really cool. I wish I would have taken this my freshman year because I probably would have pursued something like this. I could, that'd be wild.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
You being the weather
but it's sort of a how are you the weather? I mean, you get so much, shade thrown your way just because of your mispredicting the weather.
I know.
It's like, hold on, this person can't see the future, can they?
I mean, it's interesting how we know all this about weather and patterns, but still, it's hard to predict it. Like we have computers who can, predict the movements of the clouds and like the entire occurrence and stuff, and but still it is hard to predict exact like weather changes, which is interesting. Right. Yeah,
just because it's like I wonder if the night this night and then the night before, I'm trying to find the exact line if there's a line that says anything directly about the weather, but they don't mention that it's raining, and rain was predicted.
Definitely not. Yeah,
unless they do at the end of the chapter and I'm just missing it. But anyways, the whole point is that maybe the weather's off because some of these events that are happening in the wizarding world,
Yeah.
Perhaps there's some stuff going on. Later in the series, we find out mysterious fogs and storms brewing and things that are perceived.
Right.
They crop up because of the wizarding world.
Because of the Dementors they can't see in 6, I think, in book 6.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right.
There's
exactly.
mist in July or something, and they're like, wow, how?
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. All right. On to Dumbledore and his Deluminator and all the things that are going on with that. What the heck is that thing, by the way?
Yeah, the Deluminator is an interesting
Every time it pops
tool.
up, I get fascinated by it. I'm like, because he uses it in Fantastic Beasts now.
I know.
And I don't actually understand what this device really does.
And
so
he passes on to Ron, which is awesome because he can track them, right? He can. That's how he found Hermione and Harry.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird because it says
it's an interesting little device.
He uses it to take out all the lights here and everything, and it says that
a put-outer.
Yeah. If anyone looked out their window now, even beady-eyed Mrs. Dursley wouldn't be able to see anything that was happening down on the pavement. And then he put the putter-outer back inside his cloak and set off down the street to number 4.
I love this encounter.
Yeah, fancy seeing you here, Professor McGonagall.
I want to raise my hand.
Yes, please.
Sir.
Go ahead.
Can I, because I noted down a question that I always wondered. How did Professor McGonagall, how did Minerva know Albus was going to show up there? Because I was wondering, did she know about the plan? No, she clearly did not. She was shocked when he said that. He's like, you want to, they're the worst kinds of muggles. She might have known they're his family or something. But I was just wondering, how did she know Dumbledore was going to show up there if she didn't know what the plan was? Did she think for sure he was going to talk to Mr. and Mrs. Dursley because they're his family? Because later on, it's like, you don't mean the muggles that live here. How come she watches their house all day long?
She has to know. So I am wondering.
That's why it's a little mystery. We don't really know. I was just wondering, do you have a theory why she waited all day long watching the muggles, and then she's like, you don't want to leave him with the muggles, do you? Like, she didn't know about it.
Yeah, so let's see. Oh, yes, everyone's celebrating tonight. You'd think they'd be a bit more careful, but no, even the muggles have noticed something's going on. She jerked her head back to the Dursleys. She heard it on the news, right? She'd heard the flocks of owls and shooting stars and stuff, so they're not completely stupid. I am trying to remember why. I feel like she did know, or was. But he says, "Fancy seeing you here."
I know he was not. It was not like they were. They had an appointment there. They were not supposed to meet there.
Because he and Hagrid definitely do.
Right, and how does she know though? Like that, I was just wondering if she.
Yeah, like
if she at least knew. I'm pretty sure she knew that Lily's sister lives there, because she was in the Order and Lily and James were in the Order, right? I think she was in the original Order.
Yeah.
And I feel like they knew. I don't know. They would know where the family lives, and she kind of maybe thought Dumbledore would show up and tell her about it or something. But she wasn't even sure that the Potters were really dead. So it's all like a big mystery how she knew.
I'd never given this much thought. And I wonder if we're missing something, because I feel like this would have been... I don't know, because she does show up here. She's been waiting here all day long. Are the rumors true?
She wanted to ask him desperately.
Yeah, the rumors are what they're saying is that last night Voldemort turned up at Godric's Hollow. He went to find the Potters. The rumor is that Lily and James are dead. And so then she, hearing that rumor, goes to Petunia's house to check and see.
Yeah.
It's almost like, I'm just trying to think. Yeah.
Maybe she was trying to figure out if they knew something. Because if she knew, okay, this is Lily's sister, I don't know why she wouldn't go direct. Hearing the rumors, she was probably afraid to go, scared to go directly to Godric's Hollow. But maybe she wanted to figure out if they knew something, or if Lily and James, maybe she hoped to see them alive there or something. She clearly hoped to meet Dumbledore. She wasn't surprised when he showed up.
Right. Yeah. So here's what she says at the end. They're talking about, she pulled out her handkerchief. She's dabbing her eyes, all this stuff. Right. I love her. I love her so much. It was a very odd watch she pulls out. Right. It had 12 hands, but no numbers, instead little planets moving around the edge. So we'll come back to that. It must have made sense to Dumbledore, though. So she doesn't know what it is because he put it back in his pocket and said, Hagrid's late. I suppose it's he who has told you that I'd be here, by the way. There it is, sweetie. See, I knew there was an answer. Yes.
Wait,
Hagrid told.
Oh.
See, I felt like I had this conversation before, and I was trying to remember.
Good.
Yeah, because I knew I had this conversation before, and I was like, how do we know that Professor McGonagall is here? Well, it's Hagrid. Hagrid tells her. Sorry, that's why I was reading ahead because I was trying to find it.
Good job, sweetie.
But
now we know.
Yeah, I do feel like, though, that... So, yeah, Hagrid tells her, and this so that she comes
Dumbledore would be there.
Yes.
So she didn't know. She just watched the Muggles because she knew Dumbledore was going to show up there at their house. She didn't know about the plan that Harry...
And then she hears the rumors. She also hears all the rumors and stuff, and then so it makes sense. We're talking about James and Lily, the Potter boy. Oh, he's going to be at Petunia's house, so then she goes to check out. So she might have just known... All Hagrid might have said is like, you know how you can get stuff from Hagrid, like all the time the kids are getting stuff out of him, and he slips up. He's like, well, he'll be over at Petunia's later. I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Right? I shouldn't have said that. And then boom, she's off. And,
that was perfect.
Right? And then she's running over there. So she doesn't know why, but she needs to talk to Dumbledore. She's going to get there. And then on the way, it's just too hard not to notice everyone else talking about, what's going on. So, and she's like, yeah. So it has something to do with the Potters, and it kind of adds up. See, I knew it because I knew I was talking. I had mentioned this before. This has come up numerous times. Because as you're reading, you're like, what the heck?
That's all. That's what a book club's all about. Like, sharing our thoughts and maybe puzzling it together. What?
Yeah, puzzling it together. Yes. Yeah. Because there's so many different things that later in the series that I don't remember, and I'm excited to get to those things. You know what I mean? Because I beyond book 3, I really have a lot of things I don't remember and stuff. So, yeah.
Sweetie, would you care for a lemon drop?
Oh, yes.
The Hall's relief.
Oh, my gosh.
Just getting the feels here. No, that's awesome. Okay, so we know, Hagrid told her, gave her a hint. We don't know by accident or really, talk to her and say, hey, you want to meet Dumbledore there. But...
Funny that Dumbledore knows. Like Hagrid, right? Okay.
I know. But another, more on the funny side, how did Dumbledore get there? And I asked this question because... he pops up, it's almost like he, grew out of the ground or whatever. But we kind of connect that to, okay, he probably apparated there. But then he says, Professor McGonagall kind of says, hey, you'd be stiff too if you've been sitting on the brick wall all day. And Dumbledore says, all day? When you could have been celebrating... I must have passed a dozen feasts and parties on my way here. And I was like,
oh, yeah.
If you apparate there, how did you pass parties?
He passed them.
But
through space and time.
So here's my theory on that.
Okay.
If he's, at Hogwarts.
Yeah.
You can't have, Dumbledore can't, he kind of can. We don't really know. It's also a mystery.
Right, they change it in the movies.
But normally you cannot operate at Hogwarts on Hogwarts grounds.
For sure.
So, my theory is he used flu powder, and on the way, how it's described, I think
you kind of see different gates.
It's the gates, the fireplaces.
For sure. Yep.
And I feel like he passed all these fireplaces where there's parties going on and people hugging each other and toasting and.
Well, maybe he went to someone's particular person's house. It would be interesting to know his events because Dumbledore's a man that moves around and does stuff. I mean, he sends Hagrid to. They're there kind of checking in, and Hagrid's supposed to bring him on the motorbike. Well,
you feel like he's busy, and he's been to a different place. He's such an important figure,
right?
That when in an event like that, he would definitely see other people to,
Well, here's something to think about. Clearly, Sirius Black gave the motorbike comes from Sirius Black, and Sirius Black at this time is on his way to get Peter Pettigrew. Right?
I was going to ask that next.
Oh, really? That's one of your things?
Yeah. When Hagrid says, that's one of the things I was gonna ask you because I didn't fully remember if, he was going to go to the incident didn't just happen, but it's going to happen, right? So when Hagrid met him, he kind of put two and two together, and he was on his way to Peter. He didn't need the motorcycle for that or something. He's like, yeah, Hagrid, you can have it. He left too.
Right.
And that's when I think in the Prisoner book, Hagrid talks about this a little bit in detail. Yeah.
Yeah, because everyone's celebrating right now and stuff, and then it's going to be he's a little. Yeah, I feel like there's things that Dumbledore was still kind of clearing up, checking in on people. Maybe you're rounding up some of Voldemort's followers just because he was defeated at Godric's Hollow doesn't mean that they all didn't need to then go be taken out or captured. And I feel like he just, who knows what all freaking Dumbledore did on this day. And I just think it's awesome to kind of speculate and think about.
Me too.
But yeah, definitely we have the bike, and then we know Sirius. But it's interesting to do a reread and think about where they're going, because I haven't really. So sometimes you just listen. And I'm like, just tell me what's going on, and then I don't really analyze it as much or think about the way things unfold and how they're connected to stuff later. But it is cool to go back and reflect on that. So
yeah, totally. And I think it's cool when Dumbledore and McGonagall talk a little bit, and you can, like, sometimes it's like, yeah, this is the opening of the book. And when you read it now, you're like, yeah, McGonagall and Dumbledore have been friends for so long. Like, sometimes you could argue, why he probably has seen her as a cat. Like, because she asks, how did you know it was me? Like, stuff like that. But I would not... Yeah, well, it's an introduction of the characters. So I know now you could go back and say, yeah, like that doesn't make sense, blah, blah, blah. But I think it's good because their conversation, we learn more about them, about Dumbledore's oddities with lemon drops, and
yes.
I think it's cool when she mentions that they talk about the name, who, and Voldemort, and that McGonagall still doesn't want to say it, and Dumbledore's like, I don't understand it. He wants people to say the name, and McGonagall says, you're the only one who kind of, you're not frightened by him because, you're powerful, you're the only one who could kind of take him on.
Yeah, that he feared, right? You're the only one that Voldemort feared.
He feared, yes, yeah. Voldemort feared. And then Dumbledore says, Voldemort had powers I'll never have. And Minerva replies, well, you're just too noble to you do, but you're too noble to use them. And I think it's a cool connection to Fantastic Beasts and Grindelwald and how, his whole story, he does have the power, but he, along the way, chose not to use them that way.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
Minerva knows that.
She does. She knows he's a great, powerful wizard, and he knows all those things and could tap into it, could use it, but does not. And actually, it shows we find later, and we know this with our heroes and people who choose to serve the light and fight for the light. It's harder sometimes. It takes more courage. It takes more strength to actually tap into use those powers. Yeah. Not the easy ones, not the seductive ones. Or
exactly.
Whatever.
Yes. So that's a good point. It's kind of cute how he says, like he
would be blushing.
He agrees, like he knows he has the power, and he's like, blushing. And it's like, he's like, I haven't blushed so much since Madame Pomfrey told me she liked my new earmuffs. And he's like this old guy, like, a little bit flirty tone with the old ladies here. It's so cute. I think it's cute.
It is cute. Yeah. So, and poor Hagrid, though, he's sad, he starts to cry about all of this, and so they're trying to, they don't want him to wake up the neighborhood. He is rather loud. So in terms of creating these really cool characters, Dumbledore, McGonagall, Hagrid, these characters that will be around him and surrounding Harry throughout the series. We figure out their personalities. We know we do a lot in one chapter to grow and develop these characters.
Yes.
And understand that Hagrid's going to let some things slide. He's going to let some information out. He's also a guy who cares. Dumbledore trusts him with his life. So even when later on in books should we be trusting Hagrid? Like, he's kind of half giant. Like, that's Well, Dumbledore trusts him, and then he's got this fancy watch. You want to talk about the watch, by the way?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I do.
Okay.
Do we ever see that watch again?
I don't know. I was actually trying to remember that myself, and I wondered if it was more like the hands. He's like, Hagrid's late, but it had, like, different planets and different things.
Yeah.
And it was, what is he looking at?
I mean, we know. See, I feel like So we know that the Weasleys have a different clock, right? It shows them like are they where they are at.
Are they in
in
peril?
danger? Yeah. And this reminds me more of kind of like the Forense's classroom where they look at stars.
The stars, yeah. Yep.
And this
planets
is
and
this is like
astrology,
almost like prediction. I don't know if it has anything to do with it. And we don't know. We're not supposed to know.
I'm gonna tell you right now. That's exactly what I was actually thinking, though, because again, if you guys know, or if this is brought up again later, and we learn more about this, let me know, because you always wonder, how does Dumbledore know what he knows?
Yeah,
all this stuff. There's something that he can almost like he can foresee events in some way.
Right.
Actually, in Fantastic Beasts, I feel like he's doing the same thing. He can look ahead in the future.
We know that Grindelwald is a seer.
Yeah.
But we get the feeling that Dumbledore also knows more than he lets on.
Yeah, for sure. He definitely does. He somehow has information that, he's figured out. And yeah, anyway, so we could theorize about that in the watch.
Clock.
Doesn't he pull out the watch in Fantastic Beasts in the movie and look at it? I think he does.
That would be such a cool Easter egg.
I could be wrong, but we'll have to go back and look.
The watch that he pulled out the first chapter, that would be cool.
But doesn't he? I feel like he pulls out a watch and looks at it and puts it back.
I'm trying to remember if he did that in the movie.
Maybe not. Maybe I'm just in my head making that up, and it would be really cool. But
I feel like that too, though.
Anyway,
but
I'm gonna look up his watch while we move ahead.
Please do. I just want to talk about so Hagrid shows up, right? And two things about Hagrid. I'm trying to find the exact line here, because I clearly remember when I read this as a child. First time I read this here. The description of Hagrid. He looked simply too big to be allowed, and so wild. Long tangles of bushy black hair and beard hid most of his face. He had hands the size of trash can lids, and his feet in their leather boots were like baby dolphins. And I remember when I first read this as a kid, I was like, hands the size of trash can lids, and I went into the kitchen, I kid you not, to kind of get a picture, hold my hand up to the trash can to see how big Hagrid's hands would be. I vividly remember that.
Are you serious?
Yes. And it's like, I read it in German, and it was like, seine Hände waren so groß wie Mülleimerdeckel.
Okay, yeah.
And I was just like amazed by that comparison of hands and trash can lids, and yeah, I just thought it was cool. And the cool line here is when, McGonagall kind of, she's just not sure about trusting Hagrid with such a task, and Dumbledore's right away, he's like, I would trust Hagrid with my life.
Right. Yes.
And I think that's exactly who Hagrid is, and I think this is a mistake. He should have been in Hufflepuff. I looked it up yesterday. He was a Gryffindor. Maybe he values, courage more, but he is, to me, he's a got true Hufflepuff.
Hufflepuff spirit.
I'm sorry, but I just want to throw that out there. Hagrid, to me, is like this heartless, person with heart in his right place, loyal. Yeah. Like, that's his spirit. He is super loyal. And people have argued that someone like Bellatrix should be a Hufflepuff.
Really? Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
Yes. And I think that's an interesting perspective. Because it's what you value. And Hagrid, he is so, even though he makes mistakes, he says things he shouldn't.
Yeah. Yes.
But he is super loyal, and I just vote for him being Hufflepuff. So that's all I want to say.
That's awesome. No, I like kind of theorizing as to, different houses they could have been in, or hat stall situations and stuff. I think it's fun. So just so you guys know, I've just made the executive call here. I found a lot about Dumbledore's watch.
Oh my goodness. Let's hear it.
We're going to do a second part 2
Okay.
episode. It's a whole thing. So it's going to be, we'll have a couple things now lined up for you guys.
Give us a little teaser.
Essentially, there are some theories. He does pull this watch out at a very important moment later on in the series. It appears twice. Yeah.
That is so cool. I'm so excited right now.
I know. And there's different theories about it. And I think I got to go back and check, but he might have pulled it out during Fantastic Beasts. So we'll check that before we, we'll do the research for you guys, and then we'll come back and do a little special episode, either over on Patreon or Apple Premium or something.
Yes.
We'll kind of throw a couple out there for you guys. So
Okay, that's awesome.
That is cool. Okay, all right. So I guess we're getting close to the end of this chapter, right?
Yes. We meet Hagrid. So,
he's crying. This is kind of jump to the part where, unless do you have other notes leading up to that about.
Just one more. Dumbledore's oddity. He clearly is someone we should think he's weird, but he's awesome. And in this chapter, we get introduced to him, and he's like, he pulls out this weird watch. He enjoys his lemon drops. And then his comment about the scar when McGonagall's like, he's going to have that scar for the rest of his life, and can't we do anything about it? And he's like, even if I could, I wouldn't. Scars can come in handy. I have one myself above my left knee that is a perfect map of the London Underground.
Yeah, I know. And you know what? I mean, can I say something just for a hot second about scars?
Please. Oh, yeah, please.
Because I know, again, some people, and it just depends. I totally understand, like, if you have a scar on your face or you've got a really disfiguring kind of scar, and that can be cause depression and different things like that. Because I'm going to tell you right now, sweetie, I have over 22. You know this. I have over 22 different scars on my body from operations and things and stuff that I had growing up as a kid. I had a bone disease, really. I was diagnosed with that. Still played sports. I was a rascal, ran around, did everything, but I mean, I actually truly believe my scars kind of made me who I am. And that going through all of those things and life experiences, they definitely shifted my... just who I am as a person. Yeah. If that makes sense, right? And so I always found it interesting that he said this, that he'll have that scar forever, and that they can be useful, and that they can be great teachers of stuff, right? I mean, again, if you do something and you make a mistake and you fell down somewhere as a kid, you got a boo-boo, you learn, don't you? I mean, you learn from that. As small as that is, you're like, oh, wow, okay, I need to be careful here, or do this or do that, or this was a time where I was super brave and did something. You know what I mean? Like they remind you of stuff. And again, they can also be things that happened to you that were horrible. Yeah. The scars are very interesting. And I think as somebody who has a lot of them, from different,
they visibly changed you forever.
Again, even emotional scars, right? I mean, like when you look at all of that, emotional things that you go through, spiritual things, whatever it might be, those things can also affect who you are. We were talking about Petunia, for crying out loud, and carrying, and how does that affect you? So it's not like they're all going to be entirely useful. It's just interesting, I guess, to think about scars and the experience they provide. I
guess what he's trying to say here is also don't ignore them. Don't try to get rid of them and never look at them again, but try to acknowledge them, that they're there. And
this happened. What do I do?
Yeah.
Like, how do I
and look at them as
try to find some value from it?
That's where your body healed.
Yeah.
And I know this is more. I mean, with Harry, it's more this connection later on to Voldemort through the scar. Kind of is important. So we don't know if he has some foresight into that it comes in. Has a very important role later on.
Everything's
but also,
got layers with Dumbledore.
I know, but also like him referring to his own scar. It's like. They come in handy, but looking at them and not like trying to get, that we want to get rid of them and to pretend they were never there. Yeah. No, you acknowledge them.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I've always, I remember when I first read this as a kid, I was like, wow. Yeah. I've got scars, and I used to think that I used to pretend. This is gonna sound so silly. I can't believe I'm sharing this, but when I was little. First of all, what helped when I was in a wheelchair, I was on crutches or whatever, I would think about the Force. And even though I couldn't walk and I couldn't do different things, I felt like I had the power to do anything and everything, right? I was like, no, through the Force, I can do anything, right? And so I love to daydream and imagine that. And then I felt like at one point, it was my mom, again, who definitely gave me all these powers and taught me that, like, your scars have power. And this was before we hadn't read Harry Potter or anything, but like they were kind of like things that I imagined me going on great adventures, and I was in this battle and I saved people and I did this and did, as a kid, I always had like a stick and I was always out there pretending like I was fighting one person that would jump around and be the other person and stuff. And so they became, for me, I guess sort of just a fun, turn it into something different, So it was cool when I read this and I thought about that. I was like, yeah, my scars have power too.
Yeah,
so,
that's awesome.
Even though he doesn't directly say that, as this goes on, his scar hurts. What's up with his scar? He's got a scar on his. He's called freaking Scarhead by Draco Malfoy. Yeah, people would try to make fun of you for it. He's got a lot of things. Yeah.
But I bet and I know we would. We're a couples podcast, and we want to have a lot of things from a couple's perspective, and
yes.
I feel like later on, I honestly, I love your scars. It sounds weird, but I do. And I bet Ginny loves his scar. And, I just imagine her gently kissing his scar. And just like, this is who you are.
It is who you are. And it's just like, that's the thing.
And they not saying they define you. They don't define you, but they are part of you. That's all I want to say.
No, yeah, for sure. I know. And it's sort of a sensitive topic sometimes with people.
Just wanted to say that, yeah.
And so we definitely understand that. But I mean, I just wanted to share my kind of thought and perspective on it. And yeah, I appreciate that because I was like, I remember when we first met, I was like nervous about even though I've gotten over that, it wasn't something I had any anxiety with for years and years and years. I'm like meeting you and I just want, because whether it's a scar or any aspect of you as a person, you want that other person to like, hey, so hopefully this is okay too. You know what I mean? Like, it's so cool when you find your person and you feel good about it. So anyway, all right. Sorry. We're getting a little.
Yeah, sorry. I just thought it was kind of. Alrighty.
But okay, this kind of wraps up though with really just Hagrid being kind of emotional about leaving Harry here and stuff. So
he's so rude. and McGonagall is too. They all kind of they all kind of leave in tears because she's just. Where she's blowing her nose when they say goodbye.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So she's in tears too, and it is sad.
Yeah, it is. It is really kind of and they're the ones sharing this moment, right? Everyone else is celebrating, and Hagrid and Dumbledore and McGonagall are crying. Yeah.
Yep. That's the last thing my last note here, which I noticed was pretty cool, that they all three of them. So they had that little bundle with Harry in it. Mm-hmm. And put it down on the floor, and for a full minute, the three of them stood and looked at the little bundle. For a full minute, like, people, set your alarm and take a full minute, and then you see how long that is. Yeah. Especially if you're in company. Like, people, some people it's hard to be silent in company sometimes, because you feel like you want to, say something.
Yeah, you fill up every moment.
Yeah. But a full minute of three people just standing there, and it's not like they agreed on, let's have a minute in silence, but they just stood there and looked.
Yeah, because they knew it was the end. This was the final moment before they passed him off, and they just, there's really kind of a bond around these three, here taking this moment with Harry. Yeah. And I feel like even as a small child, like, that's in your spirit. It's in your spirit memory or something. You know what I mean? Because they're there looking over him, protecting and taking care of him.
Oh, yeah. And Harry, you mean in Harry's
spirit? In Harry's spirit. Yes. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just to kind of feel that. It's almost like as you grow up, like, wow, that's a spirit I kind of like there's something. You can't always explain those things or whatever, but yeah, that's really just cool that they shared that moment with him. And
I imagine Minerva having this motherly feelings a little bit.
Oh, she probably bawled her eyes out later.
And Hagrid having either like fatherly or older brotherly feelings for Harry, something around that. Yeah. Uncle, or he loved Harry from the moment he met him. Yeah. He was his guardian, his protector when he was there alone in the house. His parents were dead, and Hagrid, he got him.
I know.
Think about it. Not Sirius Black, but Hagrid.
Yeah. I know. It's.
Yes, Sirius was there too, but.
And Sirius does care 100% too. Exactly. But you have this group of people surrounding this boy saying, we want to protect him and take care of him. And they already were trying everything they could to protect this family, and they're betrayed. It's just like, it's just so sad. But
and then they just leave them there. Last little note here. Sorry, I just like earlier when Hagrid's when Dumbledore's like, it's this is the best place for him. His aunt and uncle will be able to explain everything to him when he's older. I've written them a letter. Yeah. And Minerva's reaction is, a letter? Mm-hmm. A letter? And I honestly think, like, leaving little Harry there on the doorstep, I mean, it all, for a story, it makes sense. But it's like, imagine just leaving him there with a letter. And I think her reaction is pretty, pretty on point.
It's on point. Yeah, this is sort of
a letter.
only a crazy, crazy
so we always
wizard
wonder, what would have happened if he, knocked on their door and explained everything. He probably, he probably knew they would have turned him away. They would have just given him back the baby. And he feels like this way they have no choice, really. And he thought they would not be as cruel and just, give him away or dump him somewhere.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
They are horrible people, but they would never, kill a baby or something.
No, and you wonder, too, we don't really ever get into this, but you wonder if Petunia had, a moment.
I bet she did.
You know what I mean?
She didn't
Where,
know. That's how she found out they were dead.
How did she feel directly after that? That we never really talked about it. It's never really explored.
No, because the next moment is 10 years later.
10 years later, yeah.
I
really, truly bet for a moment even when Vernon went to work and he's sort of less connected to it, I guarantee she had some reflection, some moments of sorrow and just sort of staring off into space she's gone. Yeah. And I never said anything. You know what I mean?
Did she have any regrets not talking?
Right. Yeah. Right. Anyway. Wow. Okay. There we go, friends. There we go. Chapter 1.
I already love it so much. I'm so glad we decided to do that. I love talking about, deeper things in the chapter and making the connections to later events and just wondering about how different people's perspective and how they feel. And it's just awesome. It's just so cool.
Agreed.
Well,
friends, that is it. Yeah, that's it for the reread for the chapter this week. And I think it's it was good. It was fun. Sorry, it was a little bit long, and we kind of. I think we are in the future. Just so you guys know, we probably will. I don't know if you guys make connections. One of the coolest things I like to hear are stories, and I like to hear people's connection to the text and even their real life. And often with my students, I want them to. How does this connect to you? How do you? Because it helps you remember it more. It helps you sort of process it and. Makes it more applicable to our real life and stuff. So I always want my students is there anything that you can kind of find a connection to in some way? And sometimes it's we're doing time period pieces where it's a whole different time. This is a fantasy world, right? This is, but based in the Muggle world and a wizarding world.
Exactly.
So it's such a interesting thing. So
it is.
To make connections is fun, I think.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. And again, if you never feel comfortable, you're like, I would never, come on a podcast and talk. That's not for me. But if you want to leave your thoughts on, you kind of know, okay, next time we have chapter 2 or even thoughts on this chapter. We would love to hear different perspectives and thoughts on the chapter.
If you're thinking ahead and you're like, I got something for chapter 6 and you're listening now and you want that, cool,
please.
Do that. And as I said before, we will also probably add in a reflection section at some point where we reflect back on other chapters. And that's just thoughts that we get from people down the line, whether it's a year later or whatever, and they send us a thought about chapter 1 and a connection. I think it's really cool, especially as you get deeper into the series. You forget some of the stuff. Just like right now, as we're at the beginning, it's sort of hard to think about stuff at the end because we started here at the beginning, but then it's nice to kind of do both, right?
Yeah.
Sort of be in the moment, look and reflect forward, think forward, and then also reflect backwards too.
Right.
So it's just, it's fun. So don't ever shy away from sending those in. You can always send those in to fleurandbill@gmail.com. So,
yeah.
All right.
Alrighty.
Here we go. On to our next section.
The advice of the week.
I love this music.
I know. It's called Chinese wisdom.
It's very soothing.
I know.
And it's making me feel wiser.
I know.
I don't know why, but it does, So, all right, what do we got? What do you got, sweetie?
Today, it's kind of more about part 1 of the chapter as a reminder.
Okay.
Because we talked about how, the Dursleys are not very likable. They're people who are, don't seem very nice, don't seem like a cool company to have around.
Yeah.
Honestly. But, there's just so many different kinds of people and ideas out there. And even if we don't agree or we don't always feel comfortable in each other's company, I think we should at least I don't know, it's kind of utopian thought, but like at least aim to get along peacefully with those people. And we are, I think our spirits are more like we want other people to feel comfortable around us. So we have like, it feels like easier. Okay, if there's someone whose energy doesn't really match ours, then we're still respectful. We let them do their thing.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to, we barely ever go on head-on collisions with people, right? So all I want to say is just, challenge everyone to just be nice to those people too. Because we don't know if that kindness or that moment of being nice instead of trying to go on head-on collisions with them will change something in them. And if, I know it seems weird, but we don't know. Like, if someone had been nicer to Petunia along the way, maybe she would have turned out differently. We don't know.
Well, yeah, and the other thing, too, is interesting, and I think sometimes, even if we take it away from Petunia and Vernon, because, again, people have really established thoughts on this thing. But if we take it away from those people and you look at different types of people, I'm always trying to encourage my students to work in a group, work together. You guys work in your offices. You have a team to work together with. Yeah. And it's like, it's good to have the people who do challenge us and who move us along and whatever. So I guess trying to find different, like, see, we're still dealing with a little sickness.
Sorry.
No, but it's good to kind of like encourage one another and find value in the different types of, personalities and just kind of where people are at and find value in that. But at the same time, if it's something you don't really like, we still want to try to be nice to those people to an extent. I mean, you don't also want to put yourself in a situation where you are
don't have
taking any of their abuse or whatever. But at the same point in time, when and where you can, I always feel like kindness is the way forward, and it's a way to learn. And more people would actually be able to, like, we could come together and acknowledge, listen to other people's viewpoints and stuff if you came at it with an educational tone and not sort of railing on each other, sort of thing. So I try to tell, and again, I work in education, and even among teachers, we have a problem sometimes communicating with each other about like different philosophies of education versus educating your fellow educator. We get in fights over it too. So it's like, it's normal. It happens. It is what it is. But I think it's good to reflect on it and try to always improve. So it's good. I love our little advice of the week, and I think these are good. These are little things that you learn from the chapter and things that we just kind of. You guys already know a lot of this stuff and everything. It's just good. We know it too. Why do we listen to? It's a reminder. We listen to motivational podcasts and inspirational talks simply to remind you and to surround yourself with it. Right.
It's more something. Okay, you strive towards that. You never. It's not like we're not perfect. We have our moments too.
No.
Like, it's just a reminder on. Okay, we try to
I have a little road
rage
I gotta deal with.
True. So no. It's just really to say, okay, most like 90% of the time, we really try to still be respectful and just kind of again acknowledge that there is people who think differently. We can feel sad for them that they don't have this excitement and happiness and imagination in their lives, but still be respectful to them. Kind of. Yeah. As long as you can, as long as they don't act like we said it before. Don't let other people push you around.
Wow, well, he's getting all fired up over here, guys.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to phrase it right, so don't.
I know. Yeah. So, okay, cool. I love it. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. This is awesome. We've had a blast, and it was good to kind of get all this out. Some episodes will be shorter, some will be longer. We have no idea. It just depends on what we get into. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it. By the way, again, as long as it's not rudeness, if you guys have thoughts and things you want to kind of send in to improve the show or whatever, we're always welcoming those. A review, we'll read any review on the show.
Yes.
Clearly we'll feature your emails as well too. As long as it's nothing like inappropriate or whatever. We definitely family friendly podcast here. So feel free to send those in. We want to share your thoughts and amplify your thing. We had mentioned at the beginning of the show that we want to do something in the future, whether it's 2 to 3 chapters or whenever we want to establish a time and a date that we could kind of consistently pull together a little book club.
Yeah.
So Lottie and I are, by the way, just so you guys know openly, our goals are to keep doing the podcast, the whole thing. This is sort of our lifelong little project that we're working on with our little family and our cozy little cottage. And we're content creators. She works on her art skills and has a whole thing that she's working on. I work on other podcast projects and stuff. So, you know, it is sort of our goal to do more of this and to try to provide some value in the Potter community and to create a little community around
exactly
like a family friendly thing that you can listen to in the car, you can listen to at work. Hopefully it inspires you or makes you laugh or just it's something to listen to. Get you through the week, you know? So, and with that though, we will provide extra content. Again, no, a lot of times I'll drop even free episodes too if people just subscribe on Apple Premium. If you have the Apple device there and you want to listen to one of our bonus episodes, literally I think all you have to do is just subscribe, so it's kind of free to just do that portion, and then we'll have another portion that is sort of to support the podcast if you would like. And again, no pressure. We'll still read stuff on the show. You're still welcome to send in stuff and get shout outs on the show and all that kind of stuff. But the extra bits do just take a little bit of extra effort, and you know, it'd be kind of fun to meet new friends that way and have people come on and share their stuff. And I often think of people who have like Etsy shops or other projects or things that they want to, if you have a candle shop, whatever it might be, if you're into that, we get a lot of people who follow us for that reason. And so if you also had like thoughts on Potter, but then wanted to sort of
drop your
whatever it might be
shop or your
exactly because we're all about supporting. I support a lot of different content creators on Patreon. I support different projects and giving shout outs, and I always want to do that, especially just we're going to be going to the Wizarding what do they call it, not Potterfest, but Wizarding World of Kent.
Wizardly World of Kent. So that's in Kent, Ohio. It's going to be coming up in July. And our friends from Swish and Flick will be up there. They're going to be doing a costume competition and everything. But I love seeing all the different content creators up there. Yeah.
There's tons of them. There are people who do face paintings, who do artwork, who do
amazing,
stitching, and who do make custom pins and stuff like that. So that's I really enjoy supporting people in their little side hustle, their little business and stuff like that. So we are those people, and we will support you. And if you want to support us, we would love it, you know. And so I just wanted to throw it out there. It's kind of an awkward thing to throw out sometimes, but still, it's what we're working on. And trying to make it happen. So, all right, wow, we didn't even take a bathroom break.
I know.
I feel like you're over there. I can see that we're at the end of the show here. Lottie wants to do the outro, so we can do it. So, all right, friends. Well, that's it. I guess I'll let her off the hook here. That's all for this week. Thank you for tuning in to Shell Cottage Radio 94.7 COZY. We hope that you'll join us in the future. We do thoroughly enjoy meeting new positive Potter people that don't behave like babbling, bumbling bands of baboons. Wow. If you don't want to miss the next episode, then be sure to subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. Follow us on social media at fleurandbill.
Next time, we're going to talk about Chapter 2 of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, The Vanishing Glass. So don't miss out on next week's episode. Again, thanks for joining Blur's book club in their little shell cottage today.
Tongue-tied.
We know it's not much, but it's home.